I'm here today with Heather Larson, CPP of Redpath and Company CPAs in St. Paul and White Bear Lake, Minnesota, to talk about some updates to Form W4 for 2020.
Yeah, we've got some exciting changes coming in the pipeline here. The IRS has updated and done a complete reversion of the Form W4, which most employers and employees are used to seeing at time of hire or throughout the life of their employment when they want to change their tax withholding. Every year, the IRS releases a new form to go into the next tax year. So, for a lot of us, the one we saw in 2019, we've seen historically since 1987. And due to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the IRS did a reversion for the 2020 form coming January 1st, 2020, so that it can more align with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act code and hopefully align with employee withholding when it comes time to filing their personal tax returns.
So, who's impacted the most by the new Form W4?
I would say at the foremost, the employers are going to be the first line of who's going to have to deal with questions that come from this and putting this into place. Employers are going to have to figure out who needs to fill out the form. Right now, the IRS is not requiring that all employees complete the new 2020 form version. The employees this form will impact are anyone that's newly hired as of January 1st, 2020, and then any current employees that elect to make a change to their withholding. That's mainly going to be your groups that are affected by it. And then, of course, employers having the impact of dealing with employee questions and how to help them fill out the form, which, again, they're not supposed to give tax advice to their employees, but just make sure that the employees are completing the sections that they're supposed to complete and that they're signing the perjury statement at the end.
What should employers do to prepare for these changes?
I would say, number one, many employers outsource their payroll to a third party. So I would start by talking to your service provider to see what they're doing to accommodate the old version of the form, which all your regular employees that have been with you will be grandfathered in under, and then what they're doing to accommodate for the new layout and tax tables based on your newly hired employees and people that elect changes. After you've done the homework with your payroll provider and have that action in place, then I would make sure that you are notifying the employees of the new form just to make sure that your internal site is updated with the most current version. Most definitely allow extra time in January for your payrolls that are going to need to be processed, just like January timeframes that we're used to dealing with deduction changes from the employer standpoint because of changes to health insurance amounts or salary changes. Allow extra time to make sure that you can update the system in the tax section. Then we also encourage employers to make sure that they're reviewing state W-4 rules based on your employer location as well as your employees' work locations. We're finding so far a few of the states that have come out with guidance, they are now requiring their own state W-4 be completed, whereas in the past they may have conformed to follow the federal version. So you may find that not only do you have to have a new federal W-4 on file for an employee, but you might also need to have the state W-4 as well. So you'll want to look at specific states that you operate in that may trigger this, as well as employee resident states. And then lastly, just maybe consider a revised intake process for collecting the new forms so that it's not, chaotic trying to gather the information and also put it in the system. Have a structure in place, whether it's a special inbox they can send them to or however you may get these types of forms from your employees.
Are there any resources that employers should be looking at, or maybe their employees as well?
Right. I think the IRS as well as the American Payroll Association have done gone through great stride to make sure that employers have the tools necessary to either calculate these. There's sample letters out there for you to be able to put on your company letterhead and provide to your employees to notify them of this. The American Payroll Association has a whole section on calculators you can utilize if your payroll system's not up to date. The IRS has a special spreadsheet free for you to use for small businesses so that you can manually calculate the withholding based on the new tables, because every system is going to have to know how to look based on the grandfathered 2019 or older versions as well as the 2020 new version. As well as having sample letters for employees. There's paycheck checkup tools on the IRS website where you're able to, I guess, test calculate what your personal tax situation is so that it can maybe aid you in filling out the W-4. And the IRS publication 15T is a publication the IRS puts out to calculate the withholding based on what the W-4 elections are. That's currently still in a draft form, but it's expected to be finalized, I would say any day now. They said mid-December as their projected finalized date for this publication. So I think this will be kind of the hinging point for employers to watch, and payroll software companies. A lot of them are probably building their new tables based off the draft version, which has already gone through 3 reversions and draft forms. So I think that's going to be a key thing to watch for release of that. That'll be kind of it's live, it's happening. So.
And what if I have any questions at this point? Is there anyone I should reach out to?
Right. I think we here at RedPath can be a resource for you. You can reach out to me, Heather Larson. My email is hlarson@redpathcpas.com. Or I can be reached direct at 651-255-9324. And I would say using us as a resource, but also really utilizing the IRS. They have pages that on their website that are specifically associated with this, and they probably have a frequently asked questions section as well. And then also utilize the American Payroll Association. I think both of those agencies and our areas, they know there's going to be a lot of questions around this, and so that's why they've tried to put out help guides and how-tos. And then as a fallback, reach out to us as you're kind of getting into the, really getting this going in payroll.
Great. So it sounds like there were some important changes, but also a lot of great resources available. So, yeah, thanks for the update, and here's to a great 2020.
Right. Thanks.